Hello, thank you for coming to my presentation. My name is Singhee Lee, and today I will be presenting AltCanvas, an image editor for blind and low vision users. So, web-based image editing is a challenging task for blind and low vision users who often have to use a screen reader. Complex information such as spatial orientation of objects, relative size information, and overlap between objects is hard to communicate with a solo screen reader. In addition to that, while generative AI gives us interesting capabilities to quickly generate images, they often come with challenges regarding controllability. For example, here, this was today, I asked it to generate an image of 6 apples sliced in half, and it gives me very creative images of 9 apples sliced in various forms. So the question I looked at when I was developing AltCanvas was how can we leverage these generative AI capabilities while giving users a structured, constructive approach to authoring visual content. So we conducted 3-stage interviews. First, we started off with a formative study with blind and low vision content creators, where we focused on asking questions about their content authoring workflow and their experiences in co-authoring or co-creating images with generative AI. Then from these insights, we developed a short design prototype and tried to validate and see if our approaches made sense to these users. And finally, we developed our last system, AltCanvas, and tested it on users. So initial findings from our formative study with blind and low vision content creators showed us that they had trouble understanding, a challenge for them was understanding spatial reasoning and recalibration during the editing process. One participant I talked to was also a developer who often authored content using SVG code. And for him, he explained that it's a challenging process to recalibrate images and create a mental map of how you're positioning images as you're editing them. Another challenge we noticed was that many users often use multiple tools. They start off with like a low fidelity authoring interface that could be physical, and they place different existing images on a grid, and they work with sighted individuals on top of that to transition this into a web-based graphic. And lots of users, while some enjoyed using generative AI, found it challenging to visually talk about what they wanted to express into an image, all these controlled interactions that happen when using generative AI. So from these studies, we focused on using generative AI specifically on image generation and image description tasks. And for real-time feedback and more fine-grained control, we used interactive elements such as sonification to provide more immediate real-time feedback, and a tile-based interface, which I'll explain later, to communicate more about the spatial orientation of objects located on a canvas. To give a general overview about the system, AltCanvas consists of a tile-based interface to the side and a canvas to the right. When the user first loads AltCanvas, their focus will be on the first tile in the image, and they will hear effect from the system saying that press enter to generate your first image. The user will use speech to, let's say, generate an image of a ball. And now once the ball image is generated, it will also be placed onto the canvas, and a system message will read about the description of the object that has been generated, where it's located, and at the same time, it will show 8 new tile blocks where the user can potentially navigate to create more images. Now let's say I want to create a dog next to this. I press the arrow key to move to the right, and I press enter, and I create an image of a dog. Yay. So now, once the image of the dog is generated, you will see new tiles being placed to the right of the dog that show new tile elements that have been created. And now let's say I want to move the ball a little bit to the left. I now navigate to the left tile where the ball is located. I'll hear a sonification notification as I move left or right. If I'm upon an image, I'll hear a feedback such as ball or dog. And if I'm at the edge of the canvas of these tiles, I'll hear thumb sounds. Now I press Shift L to enter the location mode, And once the location edit mode is activated, I can use the arrow keys to move up, down, left, right. If I'm at the edge of the canvas, I'll hear thumb sounds. And then I can move the image. So I want to go through some videos about how the system works.
We focused on the first tile. Press enter to generate the first image on a 600 by 600 canvas.
Create an image of a running dog.
Detected. Create an image of a running dog. Press enter to confirm and the escape key to cancel. Enter pressed. Image generation starting. Dog has been created. The image displays a silhouette of a dog in mid-leap with its body elongated, ears back, and legs extended as if it is running or jumping vigorously. The image is located in 300 and 300. It is 100 in width and 100 in height.
Create an image of a frisbee. So, like this, you would generate the first image. And now let's go.
The user will hear up-down sounds and left-right sounds when they move through the tiles. When reaching the edge, they will hear a thumb sound. On a tile with an image, they will hear the name of that image.
Now, going into how you would hear image descriptions, there's 3 types of descriptions that are provided. One is a global canvas description that describes what's happening on the entire canvas at all points in time. The other one is a local canvas description. For each generated image, it provides more specific information on coordinates or image size. And finally, there is a chat feature where the user can ask specific questions about the image that weren't answered through the descriptions.
Global Canvas Description. By using the Shift+G command, the user activates the Global Canvas Description feature.
Describing canvas. Press the escape key to stop me. The image displays 3 items, a dog, a frisbee, and a tree, each depicted with equal dimensions. The frisbee is located towards the left side of the canvas, slightly above center. The dog is centrally positioned both horizontally and vertically, with the frisbee diagonally up and to the left of it. To the right of the dog, you can find the tree, also aligned centrally in height with the dog. The tree and the dog are situated in such a...
Okay. And now I will, due to time, I'll skip through the chat. The 2 editing interactions that are supported is location editing. So as you move through the image with locations, as you're at the edge of the canvas, you'll hear different thumb sounds. If you're overlapping with certain objects, you'll also hear this thumb sound. And as you move through the objects, up, down, left, right, are different sonification cues. I'll skip through this. And for size editing, you also hear different frequency sounds. As the size of the image increases, you hear increasing frequency. As it decreases, you'll hear decreasing frequency.
Size edit. User.
And there are other edit actions such as pushing the tile or radar scan that we provided that I will talk through later, or you can check out my paper. And for our user study results, while their users were able to quickly understand the tile-based system or sonification, they had trouble with generating images using the generative AI system. For example, there were some levels of controllability that were hard to generate just through sole prompting alone. And we also found use cases for blind and low vision individuals who wanted to create images to maybe share to their children, or for educational purposes, or wanted to use the system to maybe generate tactile graphics. For future work, I believe that the system is not the final and it works perfectly. There are many flaws within the system, but I do believe that there needs to be more advanced editing features, such as trying to rotate the image or flip the image around, or maybe nest images or group things together to move in accordance to each other. There were also interesting feedback about sonification. Some people wanted to view the entire canvas in a stereo space to hear what everything was happening around the canvas in a sonified method. And because there are multiple edit interactions that require sonification, looking at sonification methods that are not too intrusive during this editing process would be very important. And finally, there should be more work on AI controllability, specifically in trying to generate tactile graphics. There were many limitations because tactile graphics has a lot of guidelines on what they should look like. Thank you.
So much for your talk. We have time for a question or two. Looking at Zoom first. See if anybody has a question there. Okay, from the room.
Hello, hi, please.
Sorry to interrupt, there's a hand up on Zoom.
Leon
I see it.
go
Abhinav, go ahead.
I'll let Leon go before me. I'm sure he has a really nice question.
Oh man. For the room first, then Abhinav.
So more pressure now. Hi, it's Leon from Carleton University. This is really interesting work, and like it's like obviously a first exploration into kind of like how to make images and image creation accessible. So some of these are more comments and just thoughts over here. And not necessarily answers, but just thoughts. One is about like perspective of images, right? So right now using a grid system where basically every image is in the same size as the grid, but perspective of something which are closer and further away. I wonder if there's how we potentially continue to address that. Multiple images or multiple objects in the same grid system, right? So like if you have 2 children or like 5 balls or something, how does that get navigated? Might be an interesting exploration. And the third part was you mentioned about like frequencies relating to size of objects, and I think you briefly mentioned about increasing frequency to indicate increasing sizes. I wonder if it actually should be the opposite, because like intuitively larger objects have lower frequencies, like a third of like a big boulder versus like a pin drop, which is higher frequency. So just things to consider. Sorry, I did have a question, just a bunch of thoughts. Thank you.
Just to comment a little bit though, I do think that there definitely needs to be more work in like grouping the tasks and moving them all together. Also about perspective. So there's things you can do, sort of like generate a big image of a mountain, make it very big, and sort of use the image itself to give it a perspective, but there's definitely limitations there too. For the frequency, so in our design probe, we initially tested with your idea too, because that's what I thought, according to the literature and everything. But we got a lot of feedback that the opposite is more intuitive for them, and so that's why I ended up making the final system in this method.
Thank you so much. It's really interesting. I hope you continue working on this.
Okay, we have time now for one last question. Abhinav, if you want to go ahead and ask yours.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful work, just like Leon pointed out. I think there is great scope for improving edit capabilities with images in the field of accessibility in general. Can you tell us a little bit more about what are some of the edit interactions that future work can address? So did your users express any feelings in your evaluations about some of the edit interactions that could be useful in the future that would possibly missing in your prototype?
Yeah, you asked specifically about edit interactions, but another thing regarding image descriptions was a lot of the current editing processes of like making images is with a sighted individual, so it feels like a collaboration. There's a lot of chat that's involved. Right now, I made the chat feature sort of limited to that specific tile and that specific image, but if there were more chat features within the global canvas, or even as you're doing the edit interactions, do you think that could be helpful? Regarding additional edit interactions, I think the prior questionnaire pointed out a lot of good things, but maybe grouping things all together and moving them all together, or there were also needs beyond tactile graphics to share with general audiences, so creating colored graphics, but maybe adding a layer of more advanced AI to kind of do different types of background renderings or different types of compositions. Those are all, yeah.
Thank you so much. All the best for your work.
All right, our next speaker is Kate Glasgow. If she could come on set up, and if you have maybe a quick question, we can sort of do that in the transition.
Yeah, so my name is Leila, I'm from Purdue, and I have a question about your model training and testing. So automating all text generally is difficult because of the difference in the quality of like data sets, and the examples you gave were like very detailed, but I'm wondering about the diversity of your data sets, since that's the underlying technology.
Yes, regarding model training, we did not do specific types of model training. A lot of it was mainly a prompted model with GPT-4 4.0 based on different types of tactile graphic authoring guidelines and literature on how we could communicate information about an image more clearly. But that is sort of the future work I'm looking into about how we can generate or train models to do more controlled types of image generation. That was a good point.